Hello, welcome back to Reeling in the Peers, where we chat about and discuss all sorts of movies. My name is Gary O'Brien, and joining me today to chat about the latest releases of January 2023 it is my very good friend David Scanlon. So stick around, we hope you enjoy.
New year, new pod.
New year, new pod, but it's
no,
not
same pod,
different
structure.
But also it's not. We're in a different location, David. And I know what you're saying, Gary. We're in the room we always record this podcast on. I'm thinking on a bigger scale, David, because recently we found out that we don't live in Ireland anymore. We live in the home of cinema. Ireland is the greatest country of all time for movie making, and that's a fact. It's been approved by the Oscars, the Academy. They said Ireland is actually the best at making movies.
For this year.
No, forever now, because we have it, and we're not going to give it up now, because we're never going to make another movie after this, because no one can beat us. We're going to retire at the top of our game.
Okay.
Yeah, so like, isn't it just great? So I just want to start off that Ireland is the home. What the hell? Ireland is the capital of cinema. That's what I wrote down.
And our podcast appears where on the list of movie podcasts in Ireland?
I don't know. I have it
give us a number.
It gets up and down. It was like 7th one week. I think.
There we go. So we're the 7th best podcast in the world on movies
for film reviews in Ireland.
Yeah. No, but in the world.
Because
we're the best.
We're the best. Yeah.
We're there for the 7th.
And help us get to number 1. Tell your friends. New Year. Tell your friends and get on Letterboxd and follow the Instagram at Reading in the Peers.
We don't have a Letterboxd
for the podcast. Okay, what would that entail, David?
I don't know. We could put in a review. We could put in a matched review.
It's never going to work, David. It's never going to work. When have we ever agreed on a movie ever? Except for the Fabelmans later on.
Yeah.
But speaking of later on, movies.
Yes.
As David mentioned, we've changed it up a bit. We scrapped the monthly movie awards because
they became too controversial.
I don't know about you, but
we got too many letters.
I really enjoyed not having to watch trash this month. It was actually so nice because I saw that You People with Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill, and I was about to say Seth Rogen, and I was like, no, he was in another bad movie this month. But I saw that come out, and I was like, I'd have to watch that for the podcast back when we were doing like Poovy and Blatant Muck, and now I can watch Marathon Man instead. You know what I mean? I just have so much more time to watch decent movies. So that's why we've scrapped it. However, how this is going to work is we're still going to keep the name or the titles and be able to present them to awards.
We still have the trademark.
I think so, yeah. Well, I don't know. Ireland is too big now. We're on a global scale.
We just better not make sure. Maybe just make sure it doesn't go into public domain. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, we'll do the Disney thing. I'll keep it in copyright for 100 years. Yeah. But just keep in mind, once that fucking Mickey Mouse copyright, he's on the pod every week.
Exactly.
Saying the worst things about Fabelmans. I don't know why. So I saw Fabelmans 2 days ago, and I haven't spoken to David about it, but all we've exchanged was a couple of words before this started, and we're very on the same page with this. But yes, Fabelmans is one movie we're talking about this month. But we're also going to be talking about M3GAN, Tar, Babylon, and A Man Called Otto. But also with that, we're going to do a bit of a flashback and talk about good movies we watched this month on streaming services. That wasn't You People or White Noise or
I watch White Noise, unfortunately.
I don't want to have to watch it, David.
Don't bother.
But also, actually, because I'm the worst at remembering the administration part of this podcast, is to keep tuned at some point in the future, because David's going to come back to do a Oscar preview podcast episode potentially.
It's part of the contract.
It's part of the contract. And you can't get out of it, David.
Plus, I want to talk about Colin Farrell again.
Oh, forever. The opportunity to do my Penguin impression, I could do whenever I want. But if I'm like, since we're talking about Colin Farrell, David, I'll do the Colin Farrell. We're not doing it. I can't do the Penguin podcast. Penguin podcast. It's a TV show, a weekly podcast. Put that one in the book, David. Add that to the contract. I'll get my lawyers to talk to your lawyers.
Important question: do they have Guinness on tap at the Oscars?
Probably not, but they should, because we're now the capital of cinema, David.
Okay, yeah.
And I feel like there should be what day is it on? It's on a Sunday. There should be a roast.
Stew.
Mm-hmm. There should be a Riverdance intermission. Get Michael Flatley back to celebrate Blackbird.
Yeah.
Someone gave out to me on TikTok because I put up a TikTok. Oh, by the way, follow the podcast on TikTok. Let's get all the socials promoted up top. Being like, I said the worst movie of 2022 was Blackbird, and it was just like, Blackbird came out in 2018, and I didn't want to have to be like, well, actually, but I did. So
Rightly so.
rightly so. Time codes for people who want to jump around to the 5 movies, so it's not as daunting as I think we did like 16 movies 1 month before. Yeah, no, not doing that anymore.
Streamlined.
I just can't do it.
Lean and mean, baby.
Give me 2 months and I'll be like, David, you better have watched The Meg 2.
Have you seen The Meg?
Nope, but I'll
I've
watch
seen
it.
The Meg. I watched it in a Singapore hostel.
Was it a big deal in Singapore?
No, it's just we all had our own individual little fucking screens. So
you picked The Meg?
I watched The Meg. I was
All
like,
right.
I need something for background noise to go to sleep.
Wow. Endorsement of The Meg there.
Yeah.
Right, well, speaking of movies that'll wake you up,
Yeah.
M3GAN.
M3GAN. Yeah.
Do you want to? I'll talk about M3GAN a bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to stagger these, so you have to talk about the movies I don't like.
Okay, yeah.
M3GAN, for anyone who doesn't know, or Megan, I suppose as losers call it, is all about a woman who designs kids' toys and is asked to kind of be able to elevate on her previous creation, which was like a weird Furby doll that it needed an app to control. So in this, she's trying to make an AI robot that is basically a kind of a walking, talking, somewhat of a substitute for a parent. And all of a sudden then her niece is left in her care after her sister and brother-in-law are killed in a car accident. And all of a sudden she is suddenly finding a good excuse to reactivate this sort of program, the M3GAN program, to somewhat help her niece get over this grief and also take the heavy lifting off of her for the parenting duties. So it's a very uplifting tale about how a working woman wants to use her intellectual brain and IP to look after and care for and counsel her grieving niece. However, this is a fun horror comedy movie where this robot comes to life and starts taking the protection of this niece into her own hands by going on somewhat of a violent streak.
Yeah, she turns into Ultron.
She does turn into
From
Ultron.
the Marvel
Just
universe.
James Spader voicing M3GAN was such a bold move.
Yeah.
I fucking loved this movie. This was the first movie I saw this year in cinema.
Yeah.
And I keep in mind the last one was Avatar 2, a movie we haven't discussed on the podcast, only briefly on the Golden Gazzy Awards. But for anyone who hadn't heard my thoughts on that, it's trash and I hated it. And
Shouldn't have been nominated.
should have been
Best
nominated. Oh,
Picture.
we'll save that for the Oscar thing. By the way, I might change the theme song for that episode just to like fucking trad. Yeah, it's
On
they
the
should
rocky road.
they should change the Oscar theme to trad. Anyway, I'm wasting all my good ideas here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this was the first movie I watched in the cinema, and it's just so much fun. It has the same writer as a movie that came out recently that I loved called Malignant, which is a movie that I made David watch, and I think all you had to reply with was "Holy fuck, what was that?" And what's great about this movie is it has those moments in it, but it's probably not as violent, but it's very funny. And the acting from both the actors themselves are good, but the robot and the robot voice, the voice of the robot, and the child actor who plays the robot are fantastic. It's definitely not as violent as I thought. However, like a lot of violence is implied because it was cut down from an R rating to a PG-13.
Yeah.
But oh man, it's an hour and 47 minutes, let's say, of just fun, silly action horror. And I highly recommend it.
Probably didn't enjoy it as much as you did, but it's
Wow.
still fun. It's still fun.
Yeah.
The one thing about this was I was in with a very rowdy audience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mine wasn't half as rowdy. What time did you go at?
It was on a Sunday, I know that.
Was it midday on a Sunday?
No, it was evening time on a Sunday.
Yeah, everyone knows my thoughts on
Maybe it
midday.
was evening time on a Saturday. When did you see it?
I think I saw it on a Friday.
Okay, so I might have gone on a Saturday.
You went on Saturday because Friday Leeds are playing.
Yeah.
And don't
they
you wish you went to go
lost.
see M3GAN
They
instead?
lost. But yeah, and that kind of took away from me, and I was kind of thinking there was these kind of group of lads in their early teens, and I was like, if this was R-rated now, they wouldn't have been allowed in.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you were going to say they'd be so spooked they'd be quiet.
No. But yeah, they're just very rowdy. No, like I do really enjoy this. It's the type of horror that it doesn't. I don't think it costs a huge amount. Like, I mean, there was obviously a lot of investment into the robot.
Yeah, so I know a lot of the face was CGI.
Yeah.
But the face doesn't look realistic, so I don't think it was too expensive to...
But yeah, it was like a puppet, there was a robot, and then there was a little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a mixture of the three. But no, it was very, very interesting. I think it's that, I don't know, was it Blumhouse?
Blumhouse Productions,
yeah, Blumhouse. They're it's really their wheelhouse of just making these kind of relatively cheap horror movies, not insanely high concept, but like just kind of on that edge between horror and comedy. I'm trying to think, what was there something else that came out last year that was Barbarian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which it was on the same kind of level. This I feel was a little bit more lighthearted than that.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. But overall it's a perfect time. Just I'd say anyone could really enjoy this. Like it's
and do you know what? Like I was hesitant to mention it in my review, but it has that. I'd hate to say like it's an additional layer to the movie, but it kind of is, but it's not. You have to remember the type of movie that it is, so it's never going to dive deep on it. But it has that whole thing of like, you know, how important it is to be a parent to someone, and how you need to be there for that whole process, and you can't just like pawn it off on like apps and the technology. So that was like, it was an interesting element to it, but I wouldn't say it's like a great movie that shows that concept off.
Exactly. Yeah, it was more kind of just a secondary storyline, but it worked well because like, you could see how it was kind of detrimental to the child's development throughout the movie. Like you could see she was really she was becoming kind of addicted to the doll or whatever. But
she had withdrawal symptoms at times.
Yeah, she looked like a bit of a heroin addict at the end. I was kind of a little bit worried for that. But I don't know about you. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a bit in it where we're brought into the main character's lab, and there's a certain robot in the corner.
Oh yeah,
that kind of. Straight away I was like, oh yeah, I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
But like, it was still fun. I thought it was fun when it got to that stage. But and
I liked the technology of M3GAN as well.
Yeah,
like how she's able to like read people's emotions on their face and stuff like that.
Yeah, you could see it because there's actually that vision thing where you can see what she's seeing.
Yeah,
and you can see
it's like 10% sad, or like 30% unsure.
Yeah,
all that's like the technology behind it is all really cool, and then how it ties into like smart homes and stuff as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I had so much fun with it.
Yeah, and there's a bit at the end where it really links into that. But and look, I think it's already greenlit for a sequel.
Yeah, M3GAN 2.0.
M3GAN 2.0.
Great title, by the way.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Just I know it sounds simple, but they could have gone with M3GAN 2, She's Back Again, Watch Out, Part 7. I don't know.
What was the second Child's Play called? Bride of Chucky? I haven't seen any of the Child's Play movies.
But also going back on that, like how it's able to elevate that and the Annabelle thing as well.
Oh yeah, big time.
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah. Even like, I don't know, I've seen one of the Annabelles and I'm just like, this I feel is better conceptually because it's more realistic, or it feels more realistic.
The other one's just a haunted doll.
Yeah. Where I'm like, that's not gonna happen.
Well, no, David. Have you tried looking behind you? That doll's been making eyes at you, David.
But no, in a sense, it's a perfect kind of January movie. Gets you into the mood.
Yeah. But if it's on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you.
This will be on Netflix, won't it?
It's Sony. No.
It'll be on.
Is it Sony or Universal? I think it's Universal. So I don't know what their thing is, but it'll be on eventually.
Yeah.
It'll be on something. Anything else to talk about with M3GAN? We have so much time.
What was your man's name?
Ronnie Chang.
He was bit I was going to say Bowen Yang. It wasn't Bowen Yang.
I'll tell you what, if we were doing worst actor, still he'd be up for that.
I thought he was fine.
I thought he was hamming it up so much.
Yeah, I thought that's what his character was supposed to be.
No, but it felt so disjointed from everything else,
I suppose. And then actually there was the corporate conspiracy as well.
I was just about to mention, I'm like, a movie about anti-capitalism. I'm surprised you weren't on more board with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that.
Speaking of, we move on. This is great. Yeah. It's like breezy.
Yeah,
Don't have to worry about awards now. Speaking of something you're all more bored with, music. You know, you music, Tar. Tar's a movie of music.
Music and Tar.
I don't know. You love Tar, David. You love cigarettes. You love smoking. You love dirty old cigars and cigarettes from the 1960s.
Maybe. Haven't tried it yet.
Maybe the lad who goes for 17 runs a day.
Yeah, I don't know. I might become a chain smoker.
Are they taking applications for the band? Are they?
Might be. Yeah. No. Okay. So Tar is what would you say, a fictional biopic?
Yeah.
About a
like Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo, like that.
That's you couldn't say anything else.
No.
What's the Dewey Cox one?
The Dewey Cox movie.
Yeah,
It's like, it's probably more on par with that.
Yeah. So Kate Blanchett plays Lydia Tarr, who is a conductor with the Berlin Symphony Orchestra or something like that.
Harmonic thing, whatever.
Big thing. And
as a music expert, you should know this.
She is like, she's one of the big kind of conductors in classical music, and she is kind of celebrated because she's a woman in an area where it was significantly kind of dominated by men, specifically the conductor role. And so this is, it's a very kind of subtle allegory and a little kind of subtle digs at people in power.
Yes.
And manipulation, the manipulative moves they make, when they're in power or whatever. And it's kind of seen through the life of this one conductor and kind of how she deals with the people around her from her place of power. I think that's probably as far as I can go.
It's basically do it, because I guess one of the funnest things about this movie is kind of just discovering what type of movie it is, because it kind of sets itself up as this. Can she do this big? Because the whole thing is that she's done everything. It's mentioned in this very long interview scene at the beginning of the movie, which is actually just so impressive from a film making point of view of just how it's able to suck you into this scene and this experience of an interview of this character, but then also being able to give you a whole backstory of her. And that's not too much of a spoiler. It's like the beginning of the movie, but also how it sort of sets up that she's done everything. She's won an EGOT. She's conducted all over the world. But the only thing she hasn't done is this cycle of a particular artist, Mahler, I'm going to say, I think it is. And she hasn't done the Mahler cycle. And it's all about her. This is it. This is the last thing she needs to do everything. Yeah. And it's all about, you're like, I hope she does it. And then you're kind of, like you say, there's that sort of manipulation, abuse of power kind of thing. You're like, ooh, I'm conflicted because I wanted her to do this now. Yeah. And now I'm sort of slowly coming to the realization maybe why she shouldn't, perhaps, which I think happens so much in society these days where, I think the prime example I'll use is kind of like football players and or sports athletes, where they kind of may do something wrong, but yet you're still like, but I hope they win the cup or the game or whatever.
So from my perspective, I thought that realization was a little bit too subtle at the start. I don't know.
Yes, I agree. But I think
it gets there by the end. You see, like, she's a monster.
Yeah, well, she's a ghoul, David. She just turns into a troll.
But just I don't know. There was, maybe it was just maybe I'm just being fucking dumbass. But from my perspective, I was kind of just like, this is way too subtle, and like I caught on eventually, but like I was just like. For too long, I'd say probably half an hour to 40 minutes in the middle, I was kind of just like, where is this going?
And it's too long.
Yeah, it is too long, Now, I had like watched a few videos on this, and there's an interesting point in the movie where...
is this the hand thing?
Yeah, and she has a fall.
Yeah.
Interesting concept. I don't know. But like, they don't really set that up.
So what this getting at is, there's one point in the movie where she explains that what her hands do as a conductor, one is like to do with pointing to the band members about who comes in, and the other one is like controlling time, and it's all about how she has to keep the tempo, and it's being a good conductor is all about controlling time. And then she takes a fall in the movie, and then after that movie, the movie becomes a hot fucking mess. And then someone was like, well, actually, that's when after she hurt her hand. So therefore, I'm like, that you just made your movie worse because you wanted a fun little Easter egg. Nah, I don't agree with it. So, and also, so I think this movie, like you say, too long. It's too convoluted in the message it's trying to portray. Like you say, it's far too subtle, and the actual experience of the movie is not enjoyable enough, or doesn't. The turning of it as the tension gets higher and higher isn't satisfying enough or thrilling enough to actually want to sit in it, because you're just like, when is this over? And also, the movie ends for about 10-15 minutes after a big thing happens. So it's from a directing point of view, I think it's all over the place. However, like you say, there's a good movie in there that I think is worth the praise. I think all the praise does 100% have to go to Cate Blanchett, because she carries this movie. And well, like I said, I hope she doesn't win for Best Actress, but I think she deserves 100%. One of the best performances.
Yeah. I just think there's so much time in the middle of the movie where there's this build up. There's just like building up to this performance, and it takes so long that like I got to the stage where I was like, what are they doing again? I don't even know what's the point in this. And then there's a big kind of crescendo towards the end where you'll remember she runs on stage.
Yes.
And then she goes somewhere else and starts working elsewhere.
Yes.
And like, I thought that was kind of interesting because it's kind of the downfall or whatever.
Yeah.
And we see that so much in movies. You look at something like Goodfellas or The Wolf of Wall Street, where it's that you see a character being built up in the first half and then the downfall in the second half. This was more probably cut in half, where you see like the person at their absolute peak and then just slowly but surely creating their own downfall or whatever. But like, as I said, I just don't think that was satisfying enough, because it takes so long, and there's just this what am I trying to say? This subtle build up throughout the middle of the movie that you just, I just got lost in. I was just like, where are we going with this? And by the end, I was kind of like, oh, that's cool or whatever. But like, it just takes way too long to get there.
I'd never recommend anyone to watch it.
No, and I can understand why certain kind of critics would love it, and probably people that are fans of music, because
pretentious assholes fans of music.
But to be fair, like, it doesn't shy away from say music language. Like, it doesn't treat you as a dumbass or like a moron. And it just uses language, and it just says, okay, if you don't understand, well, get over it. Which I kind of like, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, it's just, for me, it was just, there's a big section in the middle. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, like, for me, I'm just like, if you asked me to try and recall where 2 hours and 40 minutes of my life went in that, I don't think I could.
Like, also, you mentioned the bit at the start, the interview at the start is great.
Oh yeah, there's a great scene after that as well, where she's kind of berating a student who won't play Beethoven because he's a white man who's like slept around or something like that, and how she was trying to point out that you can't, throw out the baby with the bathwater away, and that well, if you get rid of that, you have to get rid of this and this and this and this, exactly, and you have to. But again, it sets up the movie beautifully. It's just like you say, that middle bit falls apart.
Yeah, I just can't remember between that and then there's a bit with one of the members of the
celloist
orchestra, and then like it's just so much. I'm just like, where is this going?
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate, but yes, look, if you're mad into music and you love Cate Blanchett, you'll have a great time. But
and performance-wise, it is great. So if it's one of those things where you want to see all the Oscar movies, maybe, but like,
the music's not even that good.
Yeah,
there's no good satisfying musical scene, which is all I wanted.
Yeah, and someone had mentioned the scene, do you know, where she's in her house and she starts going off on one with the accordion. Do you remember that?
That was great, yeah.
Yeah, but like, that, someone mentioned that before, and I was looking forward to that, but like, it's a minute long. Yeah. I'm kind of like, could see more of that. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I would say underwhelming is my...
Underwhelming. I wouldn't call it blatant muck.
No.
But I would definitely, not good.
Disappointing, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of things being disappointing but ended up not being disappointing, A Man Called Otto.
Oh yeah, here we go.
So this is a movie I wrote off as like, I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
No, it's all about a cranky old man who lives in a neighborhood where he's very OCD and controlling about how everyone needs to follow the rules, and then a caring neighbor moves in and tries to warm his heart, and I'm like, yeah, we've all seen that before, and I went to go see it, and I was like, this is actually fucking great. How dare you? This was so much fun.
Yeah.
And if you ask me what I think the director of Quantum of Solace will be following up with, I did not expect this. So this is a movie that is a remake of a Swedish movie that is an adaptation of a Swedish book about a man called Otto, who, like I said, lives in this neighborhood. He is very meticulous about everyone following the rules. There is a developing property company across the street that aren't abiding by the rules. People aren't putting trash in the right bins. People aren't displaying parking tickets correctly. And this new family move in, and then they try to, and this beautiful character who, actually, I can't remember the name of the actress. Do you recall? Yes. Marina Trevino, who plays us so fucking well. And if this was more Oscar baity, I could see her getting nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah.
She is fantastic in this, and she slowly but surely begins to wear down the heartless and stiff outer shell of Otto. But I guess what sets this movie apart is, I guess there's a strong emphasis on why he's like that, and it kind of beautifully lays out all the sort of groundwork that kind of led to him being like this. And there's some flashback scenes with his Tom Hanks' son, Truman Hanks, playing him. And for me, there was just too many similarities between me and him in it. So in the movie, Otto goes on a journey, but I do as well. So for me, it hit very close to home. So I had a good time with it.
I was shocked that you enjoyed this. No, it is very sweet, and I think that was the reason I was like, wow, Gary's gonna hate this. But no, it is beautiful, and I haven't seen the original, and I heard a lot of people being like, oh, it's not as good as the original. So what? Yeah. Just deal with it. Like, they're gonna make an American remake anyway, so get over it.
I think for me, and again, I haven't seen it, but I will see it so I can tell people I've seen it. It's like, I've actually seen the Swedish, and then I'll read the book and I'll be that guy. But for me, there's moments of very, very dark comedy in this, and I don't think it's in the trailer, so I won't say what he tries to do, I guess, in the movie. I could say, will I? He tries to kill himself.
Oh yeah.
But like those moments are very jarring in the movie, I find, and don't really click with me because it's done in a very comedic way, but it doesn't really meld with the sweetness of the movie, I find. However, based on some other kind of Scandinavian-esque movies I've watched before, it's very that type of humor.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe where one element of it potential. Again, I haven't seen it, but I feel like that's for me didn't work, but I could see it working in the Swedish original.
Yeah, that's fair. But no, I think it worked quite well. I think Tom Hanks worked quite well because, like, I said this to you. He had a bad 2022.
Did he?
With Pinocchio.
Oh, Pinocchio. Yeah. Sorry. And Elvis? I wouldn't say that was bad. I would say Pinocchio's bad. Yeah, because he can't sing. He can't sing, David. I forgot about that. Like, it's just like you look at Tom Hanks. He can do it all. He can act.
Yeah.
And he can be a sweet guy. He could tell a reporter to go fuck himself when he steps on his wife.
Yeah.
But he can't sing. He's human.
Poor lad, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry. I think Tom Hanks, he's back to being... I think this is a lovely kind of step away from being sweet Tom Hanks. And it was great to see him do something a little bit different where he's being a bit more of an asshole. Apologies. But in terms of the overall movie, what I would like to say is I thought the editing was brilliant. Like the way the flashbacks were just kind of knitted into the story, and there's certain characters that appear and you don't know what the backstory is, and they kind of bring it in slowly but surely. And as you mentioned there, the reasons for Otto's grumpiness, again, it's kind of leaked out slowly but surely throughout the story, and I really like that because it could have been just this type of thing of like kind of one big, pile on, towards the middle of the movie, and it would have kind of felt jarring. But I really thought it was kind of just leaked out quite nicely. And the other thing is, I've listened to different reviewers talking about it. The nice thing about Otto is, and this is going to sound a bit strange, is that he just thinks everyone's an idiot. An idiot. Yes. Okay, he's not racist. He's not homophobic. He doesn't see anyone as any lesser or better than anyone else. He just thinks everyone's an idiot, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
There was comparisons here between, like, say something like Gran Torino, but in Gran Torino, Clint Eastwood's character is just racist. Like I
haven't seen it, but he gives me that vibe.
Yeah, he's racist. Okay, that's just very clear. But like the nice thing in this is there's a transgender character, and like Otto straight away he's just like, why does anyone give a fuck? Like, do what you like.
Yeah. And there's also there's a scene between him and Marina in a car when she's learning how to drive. Yeah. And it's brilliant. The delivery, the script, but also how that information is received as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Top notch.
Yeah. And he has a few moments like that in the movie where I wouldn't say it's like what's the word when someone gives a load of lines of dialogue?
Monologue.
Yeah, it's not a monologue, but it's just him with these hard hitting moments, and he's just like, and it's that kind of uncensored just delivery, which is brilliant. And again, it's something you're not used to the likes of Tom Hanks delivering, but because he's so nice.
Yeah, and I think the movie does start quite well with it, where he's trying to buy 5 feet of rope and getting charged for 6 feet of rope, and that kind of sets it up very well. So also, last thing I'll mention about this movie is, but probably not, I'll find another thing to talk about. The score and the songs and the music, I think, really, really worked, especially for those moments of the sort of revealing of the backstory and stuff. Yeah. Also, I completely agree with Otto for like the majority of this movie. I'm like, people should be putting up this. I was so on board with everything he was doing in this movie, and like everyone was like getting grumpy at him. I was like, why? He's just a man doing his job, in my opinion.
And it again promotes that that idea of just, neighbourly help.
No, get the fuck out of my way. Go away. Coming over to my house with food? I have my own food. What do you want to give me food? Unless it's really nice food. Unless it's like Spanish cookies. Then I'm a big fan.
And then there's obviously the corporate villains, which I just love.
Yeah, I think it's
really
really
got on board
exactly. Yeah.
Really got on board with that.
I
overall, this is one.
This would be a
I
hidden
think,
gem in my opinion if we were doing it.
This is just, and it's something that everyone could enjoy.
Yeah.
I've literally anytime someone's asked like about a movie recently, I've just been like, A Man Called Otto.
Yeah, because my two other my friends recently got the Omni Pass. By the way, speaking of sponsors that were thrown out, not getting paid for.
Yeah.
And they went to go see this, and they wouldn't stop nagging me about it. And I was like, nah,
not for me.
not for me. And then I watched it. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I saw them after it, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. So I'm glad I did check it out. But again, I don't think it's a necessarily cinema watch. I think it's like
you could watch this at home.
Yeah.
It'll be on Disney Plus.
And also, it's good to be able to cry in your own home rather than in the cinema.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that in public.
No, can't just show your weakness, David.
Yeah. I suppose we will say one weakness is Truman Hanks. Not great.
Look, he's not an actor, is he?
But
is he an actor?
No, not really. I think he wants to do directing.
Oh, he's the cinematographer, actually.
Yeah,
I think.
I
saw him talk. He was on Tom Hanks was on Seth Meyers talking about it.
I think he wants to kind of get into directing.
I'm ready to look up now and see. He's like his lifelong dream is to be an actor.
His acting wasn't fantastic, but what I will say is I don't think it really took away from anything in that.
No, he's only been in 2 movies.
Yeah, in those flashback scenes. That girl who plays his wife,
yeah.
I thought she was brilliant as well. In the short, you just see her in short little bits, very enthusiastic.
Yeah,
which is just goes against what Tom Hanks' character was.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. This is a new segment of the podcast we're going to move on to now, David, where we talk about movies that we've seen this month on a streaming service that people can go watch, rather than being like, hey, here's 20 movies that came out in cinemas, go watch them. Wait, they're probably not in cinemas anymore.
Yeah, I suppose I kind of the idea behind this is that there are obviously movies on streaming services that people might be on the fence about, that we may have watched and we're just like, you know what, give it a go. Yeah, we've seen it. We give it the reeling in the peers stamp of approval.
Mm-hmm. But I have a name for the segment if you want it.
Yeah,
you know what it's called?
Go for it.
Tell you what I saw the other day.
Tell you what I saw the other day.
So tell me what you saw the other day, David. TYWIS SWAT to SWAT.
Sorry, that's too long. Tell you what I saw the other day.
There we go. See,
I saw Brokeback Mountain.
It's good, isn't it?
It's so good.
What did you see it on, David? Tell me what you saw it on the other day.
This is going to sound really bad. I saw it on Netflix and it's leaving Netflix.
Oh no.
So I'll tell you.
It might be on Disney Plus or it might come on something soon.
Yeah. You know what? I've noticed that movies that leave Netflix suddenly appear on other streaming services.
Yeah.
It's more typically Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
I watched Amelie.
Oh wait, just a bit about Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, Brokeback Mountain. Okay.
I just want to talk about how that, because for years that came in 2004. And I feel like it was joked a lot about at the time in terms of like it's the gay cowboy movie.
Yeah.
But like, fuck me, is that like just a great love story of a movie that unfortunately has that sort of
stigma
around it that I just think it's so beautifully acted, obviously by Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal. Jakey G.
Yeah.
Who hasn't got his due in Hollywood these days. No. Oh, that's my new thing.
I was looking up the 2016 Oscars for some reason. Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
Yeah. And do you know who won that year instead? Fucking
Gary Oldman?
No, Leo fucking.
Oh, DiCaprio.
I think it was Leo, wasn't it? Being dragged around by a bear.
15?
It was 2015 going to 16.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, but he hasn't won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Like, who gives a shit?
Mick Fassbender.
Yeah, Mickey F. Tell you what, the Oscar should be like, hey Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine, you blow our mind. Hey Mickey. See, I tell you what, if we had waited for the copyright on Mickey Mouse to run out, we could have had Mickey singing that. Anyway, but yeah, disgraceful behaviour in my opinion.
Yeah, no, honestly, Brokeback Mountain, very, very surprisingly good, like surprisingly sweet. I was just so, and this might sound a little bit. What am I trying to say?
Let's cancel David.
No, it's not like that. But there's a bit in it when they start getting together, and I was like, this is a bit forced.
Yeah,
but then you kind of understand that they've spent so much time together.
Yeah.
There's this, and it's not a case that they've spent time together and they're intimate straight away. There actually has been time passing, and they're kind of in the wilderness. So there's that. But and you can see it like the time they spend apart.
Exactly,
they're really struggling, and they're just like they don't know how to.
It's the sort of the journey they go on for their love for each other, and how they have this one thing they can do, but it's the time they're not spending together, and seeing how that evolves over time.
Yeah.
Again, I'm amazed this didn't win best picture at the Oscars, but Crash did instead.
Yeah.
Crazy behavior. Also, it's directed by Ang Lee. What's he doing making this
what
great movie?
was that?
It's great stuff.
He only made a Hulk movie a few years beforehand.
And Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah. Sorry, just one other thing was I mentioned this to you like a few days ago. It's part of a list on Letterboxd called "Befriending the Lyrical Loneliness."
Christ. So, guys, if you're feeling lyrically lonely, Brokeback Mountain. Nothing worse telling lonely people, hey, go watch Brokeback Mountain on Netflix. What do they do? It's not there anymore. Feeling lonely. Speaking of funny movies, though, tell you what I saw the other day. My Cousin Vinny. Oh man, I had so much fun with this movie.
Where's that on?
Disney Plus.
Okay.
It's so you'd love it. It's our type. It's a Gary and Dave movie to a T. It's all about these two boys who are in a shop, and one of them steals a can of beans or something like that, and they're driving away, and all of a sudden they get stopped by the police, and they're like, "You're under arrest." And he's like, and they're like, "Fuck, we only stole a can of beans," and they're like, "Sorry, we didn't mean to. Like, I was so sorry," and they accidentally admit to a murder that happened in that shop, and. Unfortunately, they don't know anyone. They have no good representation. So what do they do? One of them calls his cousin Vinny, and it's played by Joe Pesci, and he's just a New Yorker, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on over here?" And it's just him integrating with this like. It's like, I think it's in Alabama or something like that. It's the Deep South. And it's just him not getting on with the judge, and him trying to like do his own investigation. And also he's only been in law school for like, this is his first ever case. He's only just out of law school. And Marissa Tomei's in it. She won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. And it's just so much fun. It's just Joe Pesci being silly. And I really had a great time with it. But from an actual law perspective, which is a sentence I've never said in my life, the American Bar Association rank it the third best movie that depicts court scenes, and it's actually used to teach court proceedings in colleges.
That's fantastic,
isn't it? And it's just a fun time, and it goes by quick enough. And again, you're just trying to solve the case as you go along. David, not long. One sec, let me look it up. An hour 59, but trust me, it's worth it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll add that to the list. Do you want a few more?
Oh yeah, tell me what you saw the other day, David.
Tell you what I saw the other day. I'll go for a short one. The Iron Giant.
Yeah, everyone's seen that.
No, it's just great. Yeah, it's just solid. Some
of the best Vin Diesel voice acting you'll find.
Yeah, solid animation.
What's that on?
It's on Amazon Prime. Highly recommend. This is one that me and you both disagree on. Amelie. It's beautiful, Gary.
Nah. Do you know the way you, for all the reasons you thought I'd hate A Man Called Otto, that's why I hate Amelie. It's too sweet. Nothing but I just remember and visually it's upsetting. I've had a bad time with watching it visually. I didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
I didn't like the acting, and it's not good.
Come on.
Right.
Last one I'll just say is I gave it 5 stars. Pan's Labyrinth. It's on Netflix. Watch it.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro. It's not a fun little time.
Fights the fascists.
It's absolute. There's no Dave Bowie in it.
No, there's not.
No, there's no magic dancing.
There's a little fawn. There's a big fawn. No. Played by, who's your man that always plays?
Jones. Toby Jones? No, that's the other way. Jones. Doug Jones. Close.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do 2.
Sorry, just Pan's Labyrinth. Some of the, like, I will say some of the CGI is questionable, but the
creature design.
Yeah.
And the lad with no eyes.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Scary
times. Speaking of sad times, tell you what I saw the other day. Ordinary People. Oh man. This movie won best picture at the Oscars in 1980, and I only watched it because it won best picture. It blew me away. It is so good. It is a movie with Donald Sutherland in it. It's got Mary Tyler Moore. It's got Judd Hirsch in it, who we'll talk about a bit later on. And it's all about this guy who is this kid who his brother had died in a boating accident, and he tried to commit suicide. And it's all about him trying to reintegrate to life, but also just be in that family dynamic of a mother who knows whose son tried to commit suicide, and this sort of social stigma around that, while also trying to grieve the death of her son, and then also just dealing with depression and, you know, how does one move on in life, and dealing with that sort of intersocial sort of connections. Oh man, it hits deep, and it's all about this kid goes to Judd Hirsch, who's a therapist, and the stigma around therapy. Oh, it's just so, and it's crazy, a movie that came out 40 years ago, and it's still like a lot of it still kind of carries over to today. And it's on our favorite streaming service, David. It's on Paramount Plus.
Judd Hirsch, Oscar nominee.
But do you know? But the person he lost to that year was the kid who was in the movie, and it won he won best actor. And I know Mary Tyler Moore was nominated for best actress as well. He hasn't got on to too much, if I recall.
No,
but yeah, I'd highly recommend that. And then anything else?
Bob Redford.
Oh, Bob Redford directed it. Yeah. And a big upset because it beat Raging Bull.
Okay.
Yeah, and it beat something else actually as well. I can't recall. But the last thing I'll mention, tell you what I saw the other day. The Edge of 17. Oh. It is on Netflix. It's got Haley Steinfeld in it, and the other girl who's in the latest season of The White Lotus. It's just a very fun time about a girl who's just struggling to deal with
Woody Harrelson,
just struggling to deal with just social anxiety, social angst, teenage angst. Great time, really funny, and love the writing, love the directing. Would recommend for a light watch for an hour and 40 minutes.
8th grade, except it's like 12th grade.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Let's talk about the movies let's talk about more movies that came out recently.
More movies?
We mentioned the Fabelmans. Have we talked about the Fabelmans?
Yeah, I suppose. Okay. Fabelmans is
a piece of shit. Sorry.
Is a semi-biopic. Sorry. A semi-biopic? Is that what I'm calling it?
No, you're mispronouncing it. It's pronounced as a pile of shit.
It's a semi-biopic about Steven Spielberg's life. It is written and directed by Steven Spielberg.
Tony Kushner as well. That's important. I'll come back to that later.
Well, see, this is the thing. Tony Kushner did an interview with Steven Spielberg about his life, and he came up with the idea that, this is something that you could make a movie about, so we only have Tony Kushner to blame.
Exactly.
And it chronicles his kind of first foray into cinema, where he kind of found his love for it, got his kind of camera and
where he got his camera.
I mean, where
that's the question. That's the question everyone had in their minds. Anytime you'd watch a Spielberg movie, where does he have to get that camera from?
How he got involved in movie making, let's just say that.
Yeah.
And this, he's part of a kind of this weird eccentric family. Not necessarily weird eccentric, more just kind of
not weird. Weird and eccentric, yeah. I'll talk about it later, but yeah.
Who move around a lot. His dad works for different software companies.
Yeah.
And they move from the East Coast to the desert to then the West Coast. And it's supposed to be about kind of this upheaval and how it affects his life and how he uses the movie making to deal with it. I thought that would have been a really good idea, is just like, this kid is clearly dealing with anxiety issues, and he's dealing with dealing with trying to like make friends and find his way in life, and he's using making movies as a way to control life. He's like, okay, well, if I can't control life, on an outside sense, let's just keep making movies, and that way I can control the uncontrollable. Unfortunately, just like most of the movie is about like his ma and dad, and like they're having a divorce, and then his ma's losing. Well, okay.
No. The reason why
her ma's losing her mind, and she's cheating on his dad or something like that. And
so it's really funny you mentioned that, because I said that to Lily as like because it's funny, it's really hypocritical, because he says a whole movie about how, I thought he was going to get more, it was going to be paint his mom in a bad light, this movie. But he's known for having affairs as well. And I was like, that's a bit hypocritical. Yeah. And then Lily was like, whoa, spoiler. But thankfully within 10 minutes of the movie, you're like, oh, okay, yes, probably something happens with her and someone else.
Exactly. The editing in this is woeful. Yeah. There's scenes that just happen, and then the next scene is nothing to do with it.
Do you
know what? The kid was fine, and I actually
Sammy Fabelman.
Yeah, I did actually enjoy. I get it.
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, I get it.
So funny.
No, but seriously, I do think there was a lot he was trying to touch on. He was trying to touch on anti-Semitism, which obviously played a huge part in his life. Him being a Jew as well. I think he was trying to juggle the whole family dynamic, which played a huge part in his life. I just think he was trying to put way too much into this. He was just trying to pile it all on, and it got lost in it. And there was bits I enjoyed. I enjoyed the bits of him in high school, because you could tell this is really a kid struggling with who he is, and he was, he at that point he wasn't doing filmmaking, and then he got back into it, and this is, that was where he really wanted to be. But then there's other bits where she buys a monkey for some reason.
Yeah, I'm just holding my tongue, waiting to fucking launch on this. Just give me the hand signal, Dave, and I'll go.
Sorry, yeah, just a few more things.
You do your coherent notes.
The other thing is, it definitely shouldn't be there for Best Picture. I don't know how.
Or directing.
Or directing.
Script. Well, script.
No, I think story was. I think story was
fine.
fine.
Yeah.
I just think directing and Best Picture. But again, it's Spielberg and it's a movie about movies. I actually thought he was pretty good.
Yes, but okay, yeah. Well,
out of place.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah. I thought for the short piece he was in there, I thought Judd Hirsch was actually very good, and I was surprised by that because I'd heard his role was really, really small or whatever, and people were kind of on the fence whether he deserved it. Overall, just very disappointing. That's all I'll say.
So, why I hate this movie, and I just think it's. Just to go back, okay, there was a lot of what you said that I want to jump in, but I think I'll let you, so I was like, I'll let David finish. Is you said that it's Eccentric Family. There's a scene that opens the movie where they're going to see the greatest show on earth, which is the movie that, again, this is all basically Spielberg's life, but it's somewhat fictionalized, and there's some things that are stretched out to be able to like make it a bit more dramatic. But a lot of it is very true. So he did actually go see the greatest show on earth, and he was with his parents, and that's when his love of film began. Mm-hmm. But there's a scene that opens the movie where he doesn't want to go, he's too scared, and his dad's like trying to portray like, oh, it's just light that's projected onto a big screen, and his mom is like, it's all like movies are dreams. And I was like, these feel like they're trying to sell me a movie pass. Like it felt like an ad. Yeah. It didn't feel like like immediately I was thrown. I was like, this feels like an ad. This feels like those, what's that shop in England that does all the fucking Christmas ads? The big
John Lewis.
It felt like a John Lewis ad for movies, because these aren't real people. And I don't know what he was trying to do by obviously over dramatizing his family so that they weren't actually his family, or he felt the need to. So I was like, immediately, I hated the family. Yeah. That was the worst part about the movie for me. I didn't like anyone. I didn't I liked the actors all did what they were supposed to do. I just didn't like these characters. The sister characters were vaguely interesting, but completely underused. Yeah. The character of Sammy, I completely on board with him for a while, but then he just became just downright unlikable for chunks of the movie. However, when he was doing movies, that is when I was most impressed. And again, I think that's why, because we gave it poor reviews. I know Lily and Kira gave it better reviews, because I think they probably bought it. I don't know, I haven't spoken to them better, but maybe they bought into the family thing more, where me and you were like, we want to see the movie elements of it.
I agree with you on the over dramaticism, because it was just like, it felt so out of place, and it just felt like, what? That's not realistic.
But it's like you were saying about the man buying the monkey. Yeah. And the mom was such a wacky character. Yeah. Maybe she was like that. I don't know. Yeah. But like, it just wasn't fun. And again, okay.
There's a bit she drives into a storm for some reason.
Yeah. So what annoyed me about this movie was, I could tell, and like you said, this comes into the editing, where a lot of this movie was, I feel like I was listening to a grandpa, an old man, be like, did I ever tell you about the time? Yeah. And it's just that, gone, next scene. And it's just so, and the parts of the movie I liked the most, and I won't spoil them because I think they're some of the best ones, is the fact that Spielberg made a movie about his life and was there in these scenarios and could provide context or joke about them tongue-in-cheek, or be like, hey, I did this, and this is a thing that like I'm able to put in a movie about my life. Yeah. And that was all very interesting, but it's almost as if he's like just being like, but I want to make sure I'm giving my troubles I had with my family and dynamic, like a bit of time. And it's like, there's only so much time you can listen to your mate talking about like all that sort of stuff before you're like, it's been 2 hours and 40 minutes. You like, come on. Yeah. And it's just so disappointing. And like you say, I think I think it went into it rightly so, in that like it's nominated for all these Oscars. It should be of high quality. Not at all. No. And like you know what? I'm about to make a very controversial statement. I'd watch Avatar 2 again.
No, you wouldn't.
I honestly think I would, because I was like, I'll find more in that than I would in this movie again.
I think that is a problem. Like, again, from what I've read on different review sites and watched different reviews, I think just a lot of people just lapped this up as being, oh, this is Spielberg's, masterpiece on his life. But like, you don't get a free, and I know Steven Spielberg's made Hollywood a lot of money, so I think they kind of owe him some. Well, they don't owe him, but you know what I mean. Yeah. And look, if you're gonna make a movie about movie making, and and it's Steven Spielberg, I think, you know, you're always going to do well. The big thing for me is that the hypocrisy is a very similar movie came out called Empire of Light and got absolutely panned. And it's like Sam Mendes says it himself that he put a lot of biographical information in there about his mom. He obviously put in the elements about cinema, and that movie got absolutely panned.
Do you want to know why?
Yeah,
because that came out in Britain. That was like by a British actor, and
exactly.
like and the Brits, and I think a lot of maybe Europeans would kind of be like, no, it needs to be engaging. Where Americans probably have that more.
Again, I think you just see that there is a lot of a bit like Tom Hanks. I think there's a soft spot for Steven Spielberg. And
absolutely,
yeah. And
for me, like I looked in Letterboxd. He is my top view director by far. I've seen 25 of his movies. Yeah. The next best is Tim Burton, 13. Next best is a bit of a over. I wouldn't say best, but anyway.
Michael Bay.
No, I just meant in terms of quality. It's not the second best. I just meant in terms of the second most watched. But I actually think it's. And I was going to give it the title of the worst Steven Spielberg movie I've watched, but then I forgot I saw War Horse, and that's fucking balls. So this is definitely up there with one of the worst movies. And I saw Mark Kermode talking about how the best movie about Steven Spielberg's life has already been made, and it was E.T. And that's basically about an alien person.
Boy, yeah.
So about an alien boy who is in a family dynamic with a missing father figure, trying to make sense of the world and find friends and family and blah, blah, blah. Which I think is great. But it's just more like this movie, it just didn't need to exist in my opinion. Because I think, and again, I'll stop the ranting about it, but it's like, there wasn't enough. What is Steven Spielberg known for? Filmmaking. And there's just not, and it's called The Fabelmans. Yeah. So like movie, and the trailer, the poster is a movie. It's all about movies.
Reels,
There's not enough movie stuff in this to make it worth engaging. To be like, you're the person who can tell the story best about why you made certain choices you did in your career. And some of that, like you said, was really interesting with the train. There's a great scene later on about how he makes special effects. There's a great scene where he there's the scene where about like he makes a video for his school and why he made that, why that was important. That was all great. However, like I said, there's these weird fucking micro stories in it. Like you said with the grandpa. I've never said grandpa before in my life. Uncle, sorry. And then, in my opinion, the most jarring scene in the movie is where he kisses a girl for the first time. A really funny scene, but makes no sense. And
what is the point?
Tonal, the movie makes no. Again, a really funny story a granddad would tell, but like. In the sense of this movie, it's just so jarring. And I went with an audience who did not know when to laugh, or I went midday on a Saturday, so a load of old ones. One of them was like, "Oh no!" and like just out loud when bad things are about to happen. It's I'm just so done with this movie. It's not worth anyone's time. I'd nearly give it a red fucking light because just don't waste your time.
Right, this is the thing. A lot of the people around me said they were enjoying it, which in the cinema. And as you say, like
I'm enjoying this.
No, but like when the credits were going, they were like, oh, you know, some people behind me were like, oh, I really enjoyed that, whatever. And you look at Lily's review and Kira's review, like maybe, you know, it just really just didn't hit with us. But as you say, just the bits with the filmmaking were the interesting bits, and it was just kind of way too few and far between. If anyone is really interested in Steven Spielberg's life, there's a really great documentary on him. It's about an hour.
It's called Spielberg?
Spielberg, It came out in 2017. Really, really good. He has guests from across Hollywood. John Williams, DiCaprio, Tom Hanks.
Sorry, John Williams' score is nominated here.
It's
it's nothing in it. Nah, shit.
Again, John Williams.
But that's what I mean. They're definitely like, he's like 95 years old. It could be his last movie. We'll nominate him for that. Nah.
And then, actually, sorry, the other thing was I was looking at other movies that should have been nominated instead of this.
Oh, we could do that all day, mate.
But I'll probably leave it until...
we'll do it after the next movie, actually, will we?
Yeah.
No, we'll leave it until the
Oscars.
The Oscars, We're going to hype this up. This is going to be our most hyped promo of a movie ever. Or episode ever.
But no, just that documentary on Spielberg is actually really good. It's about nearly 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
It goes through his whole life, and it touches on everything that this movie touches on, but it's actually realistic. And it's just like him actually talking about it, which is far, far better. So if anyone actually wants to watch something about Spielberg's life, just go find that.
Next one?
Yeah.
Speaking of Hollywood. Babylon, or as I called it, Babylon.
Am I right?
Am I right? So this movie is
you should have said Baba way too long.
Baba way too long. Baba not sure enough. No, so Babylon is Damien Chazelle, who people would know from La La Land and Whiplash, has created a 3-hour movie all about old-timey Hollywood. Frenzy of a movie, and it's all about the early days of movie making in Hollywood, and it kind of chronicles kind of that roaring 20s era kind of coming into the more mature and sophisticated 30s, and how that affects different people involved in the movie industry, whether that be actors, directors, producers, critics, and even people who are just like stagehands and even the different types of talent that are involved in movie makings and how that changes. So obviously we see the difference of like the talkies coming about in 1925 and how that affects different people. Much like The Artist as well. If anyone's seen that movie. JK, no one's seen that movie ever. Except for me, because I watch all the movies, David. And and I guess, okay, so what's great about this movie is it starts off crazy, and I think that's what the movie kind of sells itself on in the trailers and the ads and the promotions and the posters, is this sort of Wall Street meets the Wolf of Wall Street meets The Great Gatsby in this roaring 20s chaotic party. They're doing cocaine, they're dancing, they're load of alcohol consuming. However, like I kind of mentioned up top, this movie chronicles the early 20s going into that more mature 30s sophisticated era where there was a lot more sort of, I felt like more heavy influence from like British royalty kind of thing, where everyone had to speak proper. And that's when the movie starts to become boring. And that, like, it starts off as this wild frenzy of a party, like you said. I don't think the credits roll, or the opening credit, the title card doesn't start till like half hour into the movie. And that's the epilogue, the epilogue. So I love that idea. I think it's great. It's just 3 hours long, and it's you do become fatigued with the movie. However, I was so ready to think this was the worst movie of the month, but I do think it's Fabelmans.
I had to pull you into the cinema.
I did not want to go see this.
I think you would have preferred to go to Babylon, the takeaway down in Camden Street.
Absolutely, David. But what I will say is, and again, what this movie does compared to the Fabelmans is it has much better nuggets and scenes that sort of chronicle movie making. So there's some great scenes about how they run out of cameras, they have to rent another camera, how they could shoot a load of things in the one location because there was no sound, because it was all silent movies, so they could have like 50 different movies being filmed in one scene. They had a great scene about, and again, I think it's one of the best scenes of 2022 coming out of America, is a movie studio that's used to doing silent movie having to do the first sound movie. It's a fantastic scene, and it has that awkwardness and high tension stakes that a Whiplash nearly has away. So really, really good stuff. But like I said, far too long. And again, it's that sort of decline of these characters of like Brad Pitt not being the hot shot he used to be. And then it drains energy. However, and I'm not spoiling it, the movie ends with some of the best, and I wouldn't think the best, but it's just a 5 minutes of just craziness that I just was there for. And that piqued me up at the end of the movie. But again, it's a big ask to ask people to wait that long.
I don't know if there's a thing that you could have cut this in 2 or something, because there is so much of this I enjoyed. There's so much of it I really enjoyed, and there was some great ideas here. As you say, there was bits where it's just high octane chaos at times, and it's like organized chaos. That's what all I can really describe it as. And like when that's hitting, you're like, wow, this is crazy. But then there's just so much of a lull kind of, and it's probably, I'm gonna say 3/4 of the way through, and it's just everyone's starting to get, a little bit kind of dragging on, and they're at that stage in their career, they're struggling. There's as the times are changing, they're having to kind of deal with certain changes in their career, and they might not be getting as much work as they were usually, and different things are going on. And I just felt that took away from my enjoyment so much. Now the other thing is, like that runtime, they need to cut a lot of that out, and I don't know if it was just like if they could cut scenes back just to be a little bit shorter.
But just go back to what you were saying there about being in 2 parts. The characters in it, the Brad Pitt, the Margot Robbie, and Diego Calva, great characters.
Oh, brilliant.
Fantastic. However, there's 2 other kind of side characters in that, whose actors' names I forget because of their kind of sideline, who have really interesting stories. But again, I wouldn't be like, add another 20 minutes on to get more time from them. But I need to imagine having like each episode be about each of those characters. You know what I mean? So I think there was great bits for them in it, but like you say,
it could have been a great anthology kind of thing.
If you cut that rundown time, you cut those characters out, which I think is so important, because I don't think I've seen anything. I don't know, maybe I haven't seen anything like that. Like one of these is a black trumpet player, and how he rises to fame. However, there's a moment where
he has to sell himself.
Which is like, those scenes are all great. And but again, like, we don't see the full cycle of that nearly in a way.
And you're kind of you're disappointed by the end because you don't see the fruition of it.
Yes.
And it's the same with the other character, an Asian kind of dancer singer.
Yeah. And you can't, yeah. And I don't want to give away anything about her character, but in terms of the other actors, I think Diego Calva, it's the first time I've probably seen him in a major role. He was really good. Yeah.
He's the type, and I really liked his character because he's the type of guy who's just grinding away, just wants to be a part of this when it's that kind of party mode.
Yeah.
Then when things start to become a little bit more serious, he just works his way through the ranks, just like step by step, just, okay, I'm just going to start doing this, and I'm going to start, oh, you need that done, I'll get that done, or whatever. And then, people start seeing this and go, okay, well, then we're just going to get you as a producer.
Yeah.
And then he gets his own office. And then when shit hits the fan, it's his fault. Or it's not necessarily his fault, but he has to take the blame.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a love story in it as well. And it's kind of tragic as well, which I don't know, I wasn't really there for.
Yeah, Well, I guess that, without giving too much away, it's kind of more just like how Margot Robbie starts at a 10 in terms of, and he starts at a 1, and how they intersect, I guess, throughout. And how he somewhat compromises his career to that. But again, I think where I somewhat felt as like, man, cut your losses. And that, like, there wasn't enough of a connection to begin with to sort of add sort of that credibility to that love story. However, is there ever, David?
Yeah, exactly.
What is love? Hey? Tell you what it isn't. Anything in the Fabelmans.
Oh, Jesus, lads. But in terms of, I think the two main characters, Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, I don't think they had to do a huge amount. Now, I enjoyed their characters, but they were very...
It's the same thing they do.
Yeah, very in-house, if that makes sense.
But then again, stick with what you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, and Brad Pitt's won his Oscar. That man doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
That man just wants to ride a bullet train.
He wants to ride a bullet train and show everyone he's completely fine after the divorce.
Exactly.
One thing I want to mention, two things I want to mention that about this movie. One, the production design, fantastic. How it's incredible. Like the sets they built. I can't believe this movie is $75 million budget.
Crazy.
I have no idea, unless they were actually like selling cocaine and drugs to like offset the budget. I don't know where they got the money from. So there's some great panning shots, camera work, sweeping shots, beautiful stuff. The biggest thing about this movie, in my opinion, is the score.
Yeah.
It is annoying to fuck. However, it works so well. It's the same trumpet beat done by Justin Hurts, who did the score for La La Land and First Man and Whiplash. I think he's on all Damien Chazelle's movies. It works so well. I want this to win best score, but I won't tell that for sure because everyone needs to tune in for the David and Gary talk about the Oscars. Ireland, home of global cinema. I think we'll name that. I'll have it like a subtitle.
Sponsored by the Irish Tourist Board.
The Gary and David 2023 Oscar preview, recorded from the home of global cinema brackets era / Ireland.
Exactly.
Anyway, I think the score is fantastic. It's the one that it's a score that's probably beats you over the head more than anything else that came out in 2022. It's catchy, but it serves the purpose of the movie so well, and it's memorable. And I think when it comes to scores, you need something that's atmospheric and boosts the movie. And I think this movie doesn't work without the score.
It works well at a party, but it also works well when they're filming as well.
I'm hesitant to recommend it, but like, if you watch it at home and maybe I feel like if you take a break, you'll never go back to it. But there's look, compared to the Fabelmans, which I do have to keep comparing against, there's enough gems along the way to keep you engaged in between.
Yeah.
And I think that's compared to Tar and compared to Fabelmans.
Yeah.
And I was going to say compared to Avatar 2.
I just think it's very funny that we're going directly against the critics, because like a lot of the critics love Tar, a lot of critics love Fabelmans, and they absolutely ban Babylon.
Yeah, but like I still think that Babylon score is very unfair.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, but I mean the best bits of Babylon
trump anything
are better than anything in Tar or Fabelmans.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah.
That's that scene where Margot Robbie has to get that scene right is top notch.
The tension.
It's
just so good.
So good.
I'm trying to compare that to something where it's just that.
David, I have it exactly right now, and this is a reference for you only. It's exactly like the scene in 2006 Pink Panther where Steve Martin's Inspector Clouseau is trying to get that sentence right.
Yeah. Or no, actually, it's in Hail Caesar. Sorry, it's in.
Yes, it is like that, but I think mine's better.
Yours is better.
I'd like the Bentham burger.
Okay,
we're not doing our words anymore, but if you were to say the best movie of the month, best movie of the month and the movie everyone should see.
My favorite or the best?
Both. Why not?
I think both for me are Man Called Otto.
I'm the same, yeah, which I did not expect to say.
Yeah,
100%. I'd have to agree.
See it if you get it.
Yeah. It's the safest bet of a movie. But if you're a bit of a big film nerd and you've really appreciated cinema for the last years and you love blockbusters and you love the likes of Jurassic Park and Jaws, go watch Babylon.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say something on Netflix
here. No. Michael's and Vinny.
Yeah, exactly.
But what do we have coming up, David? We have a busy February coming up, man.
Do we?
Yeah, big time.
I know there's 3 movies coming out this weekend.
I don't actually have the dates here, so these are coming out at any point in time in February, David. We've got The Whale. All about an obese and reclusive English teacher trying to reconnect with his estranged daughter for one last chance at redemption. Darren Aronofsky, Brendan Fraser, Hong Chow from The Menu, Oscar nominated, and also Sadie Sink from Stranger Things.
This might be a tearjerker.
If Brendan Fraser takes Colin Farrell. Also, have you seen Joe.e is putting some clickbaity article? Fuck off. Like, get fucked.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I'm gonna release an article. Me on my thing, Truth Social, by the way. And be like, why Joe.e shouldn't be a newspaper and shouldn't be a media outlet.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw a great thing, disbussing movies.
Yeah.
They had a great thing of, it was like a fake tweet from Trump. They'd be like, Lydia Tarr, treated very poorly, great composer. But yeah, if Brendan Fraser takes Colin Farrell's Oscar, I'm going to bin all my Mummy memorabilia, and I have a lot. Everyone says it when they come over to my house. They're like, Gary, what is it with all the Rick O'Connell collectibles? I'm excited for this. I'm very much looking forward to it.
The Whale?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it should be good. Again, this is one of those movies I'm like, oof, has that been nominated for an Oscar? Best Picture.
Again, we haven't seen it. I know there has some criticisms around it at the moment, but it's better than Fabelmans.
Probably.
Yeah. Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah.
The latest M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Also out this weekend.
3rd
of February.
3rd of February. While vacationing at a remote cabin in the woods. That's a good movie. Let's watch that instead. A young girl and her parents are taken hostage by 4 armed strangers who demand that they make an unthinkable choice to avert the apocalypse. Confused, scared, and with limited access to the outside world, the family must decide what they believe before all is lost.
Would you kill me to stop the apocalypse?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
I take all your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, needs as many.
I'd tell you what I'd kill you for.
God.
I have a choice between watching Fabelmans again or killing you. Mate, you're dead.
You can imagine that scene in Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. Oh man, big time. No! Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, David. Actually, we can talk about the Knock at the Cabin. As I said to you, I'll only watch this movie if it's higher than 80% on Rotten Tomatoes or lower than 20%. Anything in between, not worth my time. It either has to be very good or very bad. It has to be like as bad as Old or as good as The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's Glass, no interest.
Yeah, fair.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It is a movie about Puss in Boots.
Gary cheated and I've already seen this.
I haven't already seen it. Yeah, I got invited to the premiere over in LA.
You've already seen it.
Look, why I saw this before it came out was first of all, I didn't know everyone would want to go see it. Second of all, I didn't want to be the only one going to see it with a load of kids. All right. I'm weird when it comes to kids movies. You know what I mean? If I can watch it in the comfort of my own home, I will take that option.
Fair.
Also, I was just like, fuck it. I can do what I want. Yeah. Anyway, Puss in Boots discovers that his passion for adventure has taken its toll. He has burnt through 8 of his 9 lives. Puss sets out for an epic journey to find the mythical last wish and restore his 9 lives. I have seen this. It's very good. Great voice cast. John Mulaney's involved in it as well. I'll tell you this joke off air, but it's well worth watching. I would recommend.
So he's looking for 18 lives.
No, but I'll tell you what. It's a lot more scary than you think, and some of the animation is on par with Spider-Verse, and the opening scene, in my opinion, is fucking top notch. A really good opening to any movie, even better than Fabelmans, David.
Jesus.
Look, when a movie upsets me this much, I need a rant about it, alright? Yeah. Fucking anyway. Women talking. Women in an isolated religious colony struggle to reconcile with their faith after a series of sexual assaults.
Colony, not Connolly.
What did I say?
You said Connolly.
Oh, I've been calling it Colony Station for years. Yeah. I'm intrigued by this. Not Best Picture nominated. It's the last one I need to see. Looks like it has a great cast in it as well.
Yeah, heavy
movie. I saw Jessie Buckley on a talk show talking about
I
it.
thought you were going to say in Dublin.
I saw it, yeah. She was talking about it. It's based on a real thing.
Yeah.
Very interesting about it. But
Is it the Amish?
Somewhat. It's someone who's weird like that. Sorry to our Amish listeners. Oh, they wouldn't listen anyway. Great. We should bash the Amish more often on this podcast. They'll do nothing, David.
They can't cancel
What are they going to
us.
do? Sail over? Good luck. We'll see them coming from 10 weeks away. But yeah, I'm excited for that.
I wouldn't say excited. I'm just, I'll see it.
Oh yeah. Magic Mike, The Last Dance, David.
Not going to see it.
Yeah, no, I'm
I haven't seen
skipping
any of the others.
Yeah, I'll skip it. I couldn't be arsed. The Son. It's directed by Florian Zeller, who did The Father. It's got Hugh Jackman in it. I'm actually not going to read it because I don't really want to know much about it.
Fair.
I'm excited by it. But anyone who hasn't seen The Father, that's a great movie.
Yeah, brilliant.
Very, very good. Marcel with the shell with the shoes on.
Well, that's only coming out now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've seen that.
Oh, yeah. Cheated again.
Shoot it again. They're both nominated for Best Animated Picture, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't love it because it's very, very sweet.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
yeah.
Too sweet. You don't
Very
you don't
too
the
sweet. Oh, man. Too much. Too sweet.
Have to put a bit of salt on that.
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's very sweet. It's A24, so you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Good voice cast as well. Jesse Slater.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Cocaine Bear, David.
This is filmed in Ireland.
Yeah, it is.
There's no bears in Ireland.
Not that you know. See that possessed doll behind you? What's she on? That's a grizzly bear, David. Yeah, it's all about a bear. It's based on a true story where a load of cocaine got dropped in the woods, a bear ate it and went on a rampage.
Class.
And they were like, we need to get to Ireland for that.
And
Directed by
this
Elizabeth
is
Banks.
Elizabeth Banks, yeah.
And there's a great video of Jesse Tyler Ferguson really drunk in Bray when he was over here shooting it.
Class.
And yeah, it's gas. And lastly, but most leastly, the movie everyone's been waiting for, the next installment in the MCU everyone's been waiting for, David, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Yeah, you're not looking forward to this.
If you told me this movie they deleted the file by mistake, I'd be like, grand, yeah. I actually do not care about it. MCU broke me last year.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
Why are you looking forward to it?
I don't know. That trailer you showed me did ruin it, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'd like Paul Rudd.
So do I. People should go watch him in anything else. That's not Clueless.
Role models.
Role models, yeah.
I know, I'm interested to see Jonathan Majors.
That's the one saving grace for me, but I don't know. I feel like we're getting too much Kang in this. Which what I liked about Thanos was it was kind of like
Little drip
feeds of Thanos, and I kind of would have liked that with Jonathan Majors a bit more, because I know we only got that with Loki. Yeah, little
bit of Thanos.
Also, Creed 3 is coming out, and he's scary.
Yeah.
He's a scary human being.
Yeah.
Like, he's a lovely dude, but like,
Huge.
put it this way: nobody tell him I'm not excited for this movie. Keep that to yourselves.
We'll see him coming.
Tell your Amish friends. don't fucking be telling Jonathan Majors.
Unlike the Amish, we'll see him coming from miles away.
Hear him thumping along.
Thumpasaurus.
Very good.
Very,
very good. But that's what's coming out in February, and that's what came out in January.
What am I looking forward to most?
Yeah, what do you look forward to most here, David?
You know what? You've got me interested in Puss in Boots.
Yeah. Like it's a good it's a good animated movie, but don't expect anything.
Who's gonna win? Yeah, no, sorry, I was gonna say who's gonna win the Oscar, but that's for the next podcast.
It's not this movie, probably.
No.
The sad puppet movie is gonna win.
Probably. Ugh.
Elvis. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I know. I'm interested to see it. It's the most lighthearted of the ones you've mentioned, I think.
Magic Mike. Oh, The Last Dance. He probably dies.
Hey, it's
one last one last dollar note.
Yeah,
it probably is. It's probably the one that
because like the whale looks heavy. Not the
Literally.
cabin. I don't know what to expect because I watched.
There's a twist in
I've
it.
seen. Yeah. No shit. M.
What if that's the twist?
M. Night Shyamalan doesn't do a twist. Imagine.
There wasn't one in Old, was there? That was just an explanation of the story rather
The twist was this movie doesn't. No, the twist was that they get out.
That's just a resolution to the story. That's not a twist. Anyway.
No, the kid was a rat. That was the twist. The kid. Do you remember the kid at the start gave your man the?
Oh, he is a rat.
He's
Yeah,
a rat.
yeah, he's a rat. Yeah.
No, sorry. There's a lot of heavy movies there, and I'm,
Yeah, the sun is going to be, I could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ant-Man apparently doesn't look too good for Paul Rudd's Ant-Man in that trailer. Yeah, as I've seen, just because he's in that shit movie.
That movie.
Okay, of these movies, I am most excited for The Whale.
Yeah.
Because I want to see it.
You famously don't like Darren Aronofsky, though.
Explain.
Have you seen Noah?
Have I seen what?
Noah? Oh, no, sorry. You didn't watch The Mother, did you?
No, I watched Mother.
You looked it up on...
Yeah, I read the Wikipedia. I went to before...
You did say that was bullshit, though.
Before we started the podcast and I got on Letterboxd, I just had a habit of watching trailers and being like, that looks interesting. Not going to watch it, though. I'll read the Wikipedia. And I read it. I was like, that's balls. No, I've only seen... I don't think... The reason why
Black
I
Swan. Sorry,
I love
Black
Swan. Yeah, that's why... Because I don't think I've seen many of his movies. That's why I was like, expand. Because David... Don't get me wrong, I feel like you could say any director and you'd be like, Gary, you don't like him, and I'd come up with 7 reasons why I didn't like that person.
Gary, you don't even like movies.
I don't like movies. It's been established, David. You got me to doubt my love of Christopher Nolan on the last podcast. I've only seen one of his movies and I've loved it, so...
But you also looked one up on Wikipedia. You thought that was balls.
Sounds balls, David. Sounds absolute balls.
It was a biblical allegory.
Yeah, it's all about how she's earthed.
Yeah.
No spoilers, but it's balls.
If anyone wants to know what happens in that movie, just look up Jeremy John's review. He explains it very well.
All right, okay. Okay, David, I think that is the podcast.
That's it.
Good to have you back.
How does everyone feel
about the new format?
Yeah.
And that's the same format, but we don't have to be like...
We don't have to be so critical.
Yeah, David, I feel like Black Adam should win.
You don't have to call out that child from Firestarter. Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
Rightly
so.
Shit.
Yeah, a bit of context here. The Razzies nominated this little girl, effectively, to say she was the worst actor of the year. We have a higher standard. We had a rule, no kids.
We were like, no kids. Even though some of those kids were balls.
They were bad kids. Yeah. Yeah. I love that Pinocchio got its due. I love that Morbius got its due, and Blonde. And
disappointing not to
we should do a Razzies preview, David. Be like, where's Blackbird?
Where's Blackbird? Still have to watch Blonde.
Nah, I'll see how I'm feeling. I'll tell you what, if I'm ever in a Singapore hostel and they give me a little screen and I need something to go to bed, I'll watch Blonde.
I'll tell you, Singapore is the future.
Singapore is the future?
Yeah.
We'll talk about this off air. I love that we're like, we've saved so much time by not doing all the movies, and yet we've managed to get all the grievances out.
Yeah. We haven't seen each other for a while. Friday. It's been a weekend.
It's been a weekend, David.
What happened?
Yeah.
Leeds got through. They have to get mentioned at least once.
We already mentioned them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We got the Aston Villa thing. Remember that was 3 hours ago?
Yeah, but we only mentioned my team. We didn't mention Leeds, did we? Anyway.
No, we said Leeds.
They beat Accrington Stanley 3-1.
Good stuff. You'll write that one. That's how you signed all your players. This is a movie podcast, Dave. This is a movie podcast.
Jackie Harrison better not be going to Leicester.
Right. Okay. David, thank you so much for coming back and doing it.
You're welcome.
And thank you to the listeners for listening to this and all the other ones. If you want to know when new ones are coming out, you can follow @Reading of the Peers on Spotify. No, you can follow @Reading of the Peers on Instagram. You can subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Do that as well. TikTok. I'll put the TikToks up. TikTok, and what else? I think that's everything. Oh, follow us on Letterboxd. Let us know what you're most excited for February 2023, and let us know what you thought of this. If you've seen any of these movies, let us know what you thought. And most importantly,
recommendations.
I tell you what, we want to know. Tell us what you saw the other day.
Yeah,
that's what we want to know.
What do you see?
But it has to be a movie. Don't just tell us you saw something boring. Like, don't tell us you're like, oh, I saw a really good book that I'm going to read. Fuck off. This is a movie only podcast. Movie. And the vague slip up where we talk about sports or my favourite band from America that's really niche that I'm going to see in the Academy. Three rules, David.
I saw a bear doing a bag.
Oh, for fuck's sake.